Hello friends, Joe here at Reverb. Today we are going to be learning about arpeggios. So your two questions are, what is an arpeggio and why is it useful to know about arpeggios? An arpeggio is a chord broken down and played through one note at a time in order. Why is an arpeggio useful? 3 reasons. First of all, developing chord structure theory. Secondly, reinforcing fretboard awareness in multiple positions. And thirdly, and most importantly, your music, using arpeggios in composition and improvisation. Okay, I'm going to run through all these different arpeggios up and down the neck. For a closer look, make sure you check out our interactive tab page. That way you can follow along note by note. Let's get to the basic fundamentals of an arpeggio. In order to construct an arpeggio, we need to define a chord and understand how a chord is built. To determine this, we look to the scale. For a G major chord, we look to the G major scale. We take the first note of that scale, the third note, and the fifth note. Those 3 notes create the G major chord, the 1, the 3, and the 5. So if we play those notes in order, 1, 3, 5, we have already played an arpeggio. In the key of G, that would be G, B, and D. Those 3 notes I just played comprise a G major chord. They are the 3 components of that chord. And if I play them in order individually, that's an arpeggio. 1, 3, 5, G, B, D. Okay, now, since we're just dealing with 3 notes here, how do we translate that into a more expansive language through which to speak? First of all, we want to play that arpeggio 2 octaves rather than 1. Okay? We're going 1, 3, 5 in 1 octave, and then to the next octave, 1, 3, 5, and landing on 1. And the way we're going to do these is we're going to go from start to finish, and then turn around and come right back down. The next way to expand this language of arpeggios is to play the arpeggio from every different angle possible. There are 3 notes in the chord, so that means we can dive into these arpeggios from 3 different starting points, starting from the 3rd, and then again starting from the 5th. So the note that you start on is the same note that you finish on to turn around and come back down the arpeggio. So now we've played it from the root, from G, and we've played it from the 3rd, which is B. Now we have to play it from the 5th, which is D. And that's that. We've taken one arpeggio and played it from 3 different starting positions in 3 different ranges of your fretboard. Okay, let's do the same thing for minor. We'll just stay in G, and now we'll play G minor. As we determine the structure of a major chord by referring to the major scale, we do the same thing with a minor chord by referring to the minor scale. The G minor chord is going to be spelled G, B flat, D. It's interesting to remember that the only difference between a major chord and a minor chord is the 3rd. If the 3rd is flatted a half step, it's a minor chord. Now let's apply those notes of the G minor chord to fingerings of a G minor arpeggio. G, B flat, and D. Now from the 3rd, and now from the 5th degree. Let's check out some of these ideas in actual music, in real songs. Okay, for a major arpeggio, let's take a look at Bob Marley's Stir It Up. The chords are A, D, and E. On the D chord and the E chord, the bass line is an arpeggiation of both of those chords. 1, 3, 5 in D, and then 1, 3, 5 again in E. So there you hear it. Those second 2 chords. That's 1, 3, 5 in the key of D, and then again 1, 3, 5 on the chord of E. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at a minor example. George Harrison's guitar part in the second verse of And I Love Her. The chords in this verse are F sharp minor and C sharp minor. What George does is he just arpeggiates an upper structure of those chords as the second verse goes. So, again, George has taken F sharp minor and he's used the shape F sharp minor from the fifth. Okay, the upper structure of that shape is right here, this nifty little stair-step shape here. For the C sharp minor, he's playing the upper structure of a C sharp minor from the root shape. Right there, those top three notes right there. So in the same position, George takes two separate minor chords and creates this beautiful melody that's about as musical as it gets, just using arpeggios. Then George continues with the upper structure of an A major arpeggio, and then a B dominant 7 arpeggio. And we're going to learn that arpeggio in part 2 of this lesson. We're going to learn 3 different 7-chord arpeggios that you can find right here. Thanks so much for watching this lesson on major and minor arpeggios. Arpeggios are so great for chord structure development, fretboard awareness, and your own music. To expand more on that, check in for part 2 of this lesson on 7-chord arpeggios. See you next time.